14, Cornelius Fudge. Harry, Ron and Hermione had always known that Hagrid had an unfortunate liking for larger monstrous creatures. During the first year at Hogwarts, he had tried to raise a dragon in his little wooden house, and it would be a long time before they forgot the giant three-headed dog, Christian Fluffy. And if, as a boy, Hagrid had heard that a monster was hidden somewhere in the castle, Harry was sure he'd gone to any lengths for a glimpse of it. He probably thought it'd be a shame that the monster had cooped so long, and thought it might deserve the chance to stretch its many legs. Harry could just imagine the 13th-year-old Hagrid trying to fit a leading collar on it. But he was equally certain that Hagrid would never have meant to kill anybody. Harry half wished he hadn't found out how to work through this diary. Again and again, Ron and Hermione made him recount what he'd seen, telling them and sick of the long circular conversations that followed. Riddle might have got the wrong person, said Hermione. Maybe it was some other monster that was attacking people. How many monsters do you think this place can hold? Ron asked dully. We always knew that had been expelled, said Harry miserably. And the attack stopped after Hagrid was kicked out. Otherwise, Riddle would have got his award. One tried different tack. Riddle does sound like Percy, and who asked him to cross on Hagrid anyway? But the monster had killed someone, Ron, said Hermione. And Riddle was going to go back to some Muggle orphanage. If they killed Hogwarts, said Harry. I don't blame him for wanting to stay there. Ron bit his lip, then said tentatively, he was buying a flesh-eating slug repellent, said Harry quickly. The three of them fell silent. After a long pause, Hermione voiced the naughtiest question in all hesitant voice. Do you think we should go and ask Hagrid about it all? That would be a cheerful visit, said Ron. Hello, Hagrid. Tell us, have you been setting anything mad and hairy loose in the castle lately? In the end, they decided that they wouldn't say anything to Hagrid unless there was another attack. And more days went by with no whisper from the disembodied voice, because they became hopeful that they would never need to talk about him, about why he had been expelled. Now it's nearly 4 months since Justin and nearly had the snake had been petrified, and nearly everybody seemed to think that attacker, whoever it was, had retired for good. Peeves had finally got bored of his "Oh Potter, you rotter" song. Annie Macmillan asked Harry to quite politely to pass a bucket of leaping toasters in her biology one day, and in March several of the mandrakes threw a loud and raucous party in Greenhouse 3. This made Professor Sprout very happy. The moment they start trying to move into each other's pots, we'll know they're fully mature, she told Harry. Then we will be able to revive those poor people in the hospital room. The second year were given something new to think about during the Easter holidays. The time had come to choose their subjects for the third year, a matter that Hermione, at least, took very seriously. It could affect our whole future, she said. She told Harry and Ron, as they pored over lists of new subjects, marking them with ticks. I just want to give up potions. We can't, said Ron gloomily. We keep all our old subjects or I've ditched defense against dark arts. But that's very important, said Hermione, shocked. Not the way Lockhart teaches it, said Ron. I haven't learned anything from him except not to set pixies loose. Neville Longbottom had been sent letters from all witches and wizards. Not the way Lockhart teaches it, said Ron. I haven't learned anything from him except not to set pixies on loose. Neville Longbottom had sent letters from all the witches and wizards in his family, all giving him different advice on what to choose. Confused and worried, he sat reading the subject lists with his tongue poking out, asking people whether they thought arithmancy sounded more difficult than study of ancient runes. Well, if I was Neville, I'd choose study of ancient runes. I choose study of ancient runes more than arithmancy. Well, arithmancy is just learning about muggles and stuff. But I don't want to. So if I was like that, I'd rather study of ancient runes. Dean Thomas, who like Harry had grown up with muggles, ended up closing his eyes and jabbing his wand at the list, then picking the subjects it landed on. Hermione took nobody's advice but signed up for everything. Harry smiled grimly to himself at the thought of what Uncle Vernon and Aunt Petunia would say if he tried to discuss his career in wizardry with them. Not that he'd get any guardians. Percy Weasley was eager to share his experience. Depends where you want to go, Harry, he said. It's never too early to think about the future. So I'd recommend divination. People say Muggle studies is a soft option, but I personally think wizards should have a thorough understanding of the non-magical community, especially if they're thinking of working in close contact with them. Look at my father. He has to deal with muggle business all the time. My brother Charlie was always more of an outdoor type, so he would take care of magical creatures. Play to your strengths, Harry. But the only thing Harry felt he was good at was Quidditch. In the end, he chose the same new subjects as Ron, feeling that if he was rubbish at them, at least he'd have someone friendly to help them with. Gryffindor's next Quidditch match would be against Hufflepuff. Wood was insisting on team practices every night after dinner, so that Harry barely had time for anything but Quidditch and homework. However, the training sessions were getting better, or at least drier. And in the evening before Saturday's match, he went up to his dormitory to drop off his broomstick, feeling Gryffindor's chances for the Quidditch Cup had never been better. The contents, but his cheerful mood didn't last long. At the top of the stairs to the dormitory, he met Neville Longbottom, who was looking frantic. Harry, I don't know who did it. I just found. Watching Harry fearfully, Neville pushed open the door. The contents of Harry's trunk had been thrown everywhere. His cloak lay ripped on the floor. The bedclothes had been pulled off his four-poster, and the drawers had been pulled out of his bedside cabinet, the contents strewn over the mattress. Harry walked over to the bed, opened mouth, treading on a few loose pages of Travels with Trolls. As he and Neville pulled the blankets back onto his bed, Ron, Dean and Seamus came in. Dean swore loudly. "What's happened, Harry?" "No idea," said Harry. But Ron was examining Harry's robes. All the pockets were hanging out. Someone's been looking for something. Someone's been looking for something. Is there anything missing? Harry said to been looking for something. Riddle's diary's gone, he said in an undertone. What? Harry jerked his head towards the dormitory door and Ron followed him out. They hurried back down to the common room, which was almost half empty, and joined Hermione, who was sitting alone reading a book called Ancient Runes Made Easy. Hermione looked aghast at the news. But only a Gryffindor could have stolen. Nobody else knows our password. Exactly, said Harry. They woke next day. The next day, Harry looked aghast at the news. The next day, they woke to brilliant sunshine and a light, refreshing breeze, perfect Quidditch conditions, said Harry. It means it would. Enthusiastically at the Gryffindor table. Said Wood enthusiastically at the Gryffindor table, loading the team's plates with scrambled eggs. Harry, buck up there, you need a decent breakfast. Harry had been staring down the packed Gryffindor table, wondering if the new owner of Riddle's Diary was right in front of his eyes. Hermione had been urging him to report the robbery, but Harry didn't like the idea. He'd have to tell a teacher all about the diary and how many people knew why Hagrid had been expelled 50 years ago. He didn't want to be the one who brought it all up again. As he left the Great Hall of Ron and Hermione to collect the Quidditch things, another serious thing was added to Harry's growing list. He had just stepped foot in the heard it again. Kill this time, let me reptile. He shouted aloud, and Ron and Hermione both jumped away from him in alarm. The voice, said Harry, looking over his shoulder. I just heard it, didn't you? Ron clapped his and shook his head wide-eyed. Hermione, however, clapped her hand to her forehead. Harry, I think I have just understood. Harry, I think I've just understood something. I've got to go to the library. She sprinted. What does she understand? Said Harry distractedly, still looking around, trying to tell where the voice had come from. Knows more than I do, said Ron, shaking his head. But why she's got to go to the library? Because that's what Hermione does, said Ron, shrugging. When in doubt, go to the library. Harry stood irresolute, trying to catch the voice again, but people were now emerging from the great hall behind him, talking loudly, exiting through the front doors on the way to the Quidditch pitch. You'd better get moving, said Ron. It's nearly 11, the match. Harry raced up to the Gryffindor Tower, collecting his Nimbus 2000, and joined a large crowd swarming across the grounds. But his mind was still in the castle, along with the bodiless voice. And as he poured on his scarlet robes in the changing room, his only comfort was that everyone was now outside to watch the game. The teams walked onto the pitch to total applause. Oliver Wood took off for a warm-up flight around the goalposts. Madam Hooch released the balls. Hufflepuff, who played Canary Yellow, was standing in a huddle, having a last-minute discussion of tactics. Harry's just his room when Professor McGonagall, half marching, half running across the pitch, carrying an enormous purple megaphone. Harry's heart dropped like a stone. This match has been cancelled, Professor McGonagall called through the megaphone, addressing the packed stadium. There were boos and shouts. Oliver Wood, looking devastated, landed and ran towards Professor McGonagall without getting off his broomstick. "But Professor," he shouted, "we've got to play the cup, Gryffindor." Professor McGonagall ignored him and continued to shout through the megaphone. All students are to make their way through the house common rooms as quickly as where the head of houses will give them further information. She lowered the megaphone and beckoned Harry over to her. "Potter, I think you'd better come with me." Wondering how she could possibly suspect him this time, Ron detached himself from to hit the complaining crowd up to him as they set off towards the castle. To Harry's surprise, Professor McGonagall didn't object. "Yes, perhaps you'd better come too." Some of the students swarming around them were grumbling about the match being cancelled, others looking worried. Harry and Ron followed Professor McGonagall back into the school and up the marble staircase, but they weren't able to take into anybody's office this time. There has been another attack, another double attack. Harry's insides did a horrible somersault. Professor Madame Pomfrey pushed the door open and he and Ron entered. Madame Pomfrey was bending over a 6th year with curly long hair. As a Ravenclaw, they'd accidentally asked for direction to the Slytherin common room, and on the bed next to her was Hermione. Ron groaned. Hermione lay utterly still, her eyes open and glassy. They were found near the library to Professor McGonagall. "I don't suppose either of you can explain this." It was on the floor next to them. She was holding up a circular mirror. That's all for today. Bye-bye.